Hello, if this is your first time here on this channel, my name is Alex. I have my alias Project AER. I've just released an album called Motions very recently on the 15th of July, and I am making a series of videos breaking down each track in terms of how I made them, going through the project files and how I made each of the tracks on the album. Today we're doing the fourth video in the series, looking at track 4 on the album, which is a track called You, which is a collaboration with Hoffy beats. So we're going to jump right into it. So as before, I'm going to go through this section by section, start with the intro, go through the first kind of beat section, the bridge, and then the kind of second beat section, and then the very short outro at the end. So this is a bit of a messy project file, which my collaborations often end up being messy project files. There's a lot of kind of MIDI in here that's kind of unused, which Hoffy sent over just so that I would have all the MIDI. Hoffy is a very seasoned collaborator, so he was very good and gave me everything I could possibly need. He started this idea, actually. This isn't something I started. I think it came out sounding like a very good blend of both of our sounds. I'm not going to play through the whole song as before. If you want to hear the song will be linked in the description along with the rest of the album, but we're just going to go through this. So the intro kind of starts off with a few things. The kind of main thing here being the piano that Hoffy sent over. Let's make it a little bit bigger. So it just kind of repeats that kind of section in there. So the piano really is kind of the kind of backbone of the entire song here. It kind of, keeps going all the way through. Hoffy is just a master on the keys. So I didn't do loads to this. I did a bit of EQ, just kind of cleaning up the low end, a bit of compression using CLA 76. Very, very gentle though, was what I tried to be. Not a huge amount of gain reduction, just something to just, keep it where I needed it. I've used Casrod K-Clip with some oversampling on it and just applying a tiny bit of gain to it. I really like how this, the oversampling in this sounds, to my ears anyway. I think to most people it might just be not that different, but I really like what it adds. Then I've added a bit more EQ, just trying to kind of deal with some troublesome frequencies that might be kind of clashing with other things and where I've wanted other things to kind of cut through. I'm not entirely sure why I did that, but I did it for a reason. And then just a tiny bit of imaging just to widen it a little bit. Just makes it a little bit wider overall. You also have some birdsong ambience in here. I think this might just be a sample I found on Freesound. As always, just a bit of cleaning up to kind of allow other things to kind of come through, and then just a bit of widening on there. Well, quite a bit of widening actually. Other things that we have in the intro, there are these little drones. These are all bits that I think Hoffy sent through, which have a bit of EQ and then Valhalla Shimmer, so without them. I'm not too sure what that might be actually. I don't know if that was me or if that was Hoffy, but it's there and it sounds cool. We then have this. This is my classic ambient piano that we've had in the other songs. So bit of EQ, probably could have taken a bit more low end out there. Bit of imaging, that kind of starts in the intro as well. These were definitely from Hoffy. These are some like sort of, he's called them guitar grains. And then I've kind of duplicated them onto another track. The first one's got a bit of delay on there. Even though the stems that he sent over already had a bit of delay on them. There's this little piano arp as well that you kind of hear bubbling up throughout the intro, which is on what sounds like a synth, but I think when you blend it with the piano, it just ends up sounding quite piano-like, which is cool, but it just has this different sort of flavour to it, which I really enjoy. He also sent over a delay. Just, Hoffy is so good at layering. I don't know how he did that, but he did it and it sounds really, really nice. I guess it's just like EQ and delay, but it sounds absolutely lovely. We also have some guitars in the intro, which come back a little bit later in the song, but they're not super prominent. You just mainly hear them in the intro and towards the end. So you have a panned left ambience, which just does that little 3-note section there. And then you have one that's panned right. Kind of like random feeling, but I just think that it can just add a little bit of something to it. All kind of using Valhalla Shimmer and just EQ to clean them up. And then we have this piece here, which is, again, just one that's panned to the center. And those three together just sound like just a nice sort of addition to the intro. I think it just blends our sounds really, really nicely. We then have some filtered drums that come in. And some filtered hats as well on a separate track. We then have other hats, apparently. Oh no, that's just some silence there. Those actually don't come in till a bit later on. We have some chimes. These came from Hoffy as well. I haven't touched that at all, no EQ, anything. I've just sent it to the reverb mix. So you get that sort of washed out sound. It just sounds very dreamy, sounds lovely. And there's also a particles piano in here as well. So even though we've done the ambient piano through my serum method, I've also used the noir particles method as well. And again, that's being sent to the reverb mix just to kind of keep it super dreamy. So you end up with all these elements going to reverb that just sound super duper dreamy. Just a lovely sound. No real EQing there, just some side chaining, and then obviously 100% wet mix on the reverb. And then there's the chimes reversed there that you can hear as well. Just to kind of help with the transition. There is also a very, very quiet synth pluck here. I'm going to make this a bit smaller so we can see it a bit easier. There's a lot going on, and it's very messy, this project file. Just on each sort of half note, I guess by extension quarter note, because this is 150 BPM, but we kind of treat it in half time like it's 75 BPM. And just a bit of EQ on that, and then obviously some shimmer reverb as well, and then just panning off to the left. Just super subtle, you wouldn't really notice it. And then there's the kind of focal element, well not focal element, but the kind of, you know, characteristic element of the song, and where it gets its title is this voice saying you. So it's not really reversed. I think I've just reversed the sample, bounced it out with delay, and then reversed that. I'm not too sure though. I can't remember exactly how I did it. I could probably change it back to how it used to be. And then I've just done a bit of form and shifting on the pitch there using Isotope Nectar, tiny bit of EQ, and just a bit of reverb as well. And then there's the kind of dry-ish version of it afterwards, which still has reverb on it. So still form and shifted, bit of EQ. Because it's a mono recording from my microphone here, I have stereoized it to make it stereo as well. So those two together sound like this. Bit of a pop there, but who cares? What else is going on here that we haven't talked about? I think that is pretty much the intro. Then we move into the beat section, so let's go from top to bottom. We have the kick. This came from Hoffy as well. Just a really nice kick, didn't have to do anything to it. Again, master of his craft, great drum selection. And the snare as well, just done a tiny bit of EQ work to that. Just a nice snare all around. We have some hi-hats, some more hi-hats. So you have one that's doing because we're at 150 BPM, it's quarter notes, and then you have these which are doing eighth notes, but it would, otherwise if we were 75 BPM, it'd be eighth and 16 notes. One quieter than the other, so you have that sort of like syncopation to it. And then a sort of tambourine impact there as well. So the drums all together start to sound like this. Really quite sparse, minimal drums. There's not a lot of kind of, you know, textural stuff like Foley or anything really going on here. Just minimal, just because there's a lot of other elements in the track, so it doesn't need loads. We then have a bass guitar where I've just basically looked at the MIDI that Hoffy sent me, and then just recorded it on bass guitar. So similar stuff as usual, clean bass preset, EQing out all the highs there, and then just a bit of compression there as well, so not too aggressive. And the beat sections kind of have like two parts to them. The first being kind of this bit here, which is however many bars that is. I suck at maths. And then there's a sort of droning guitar here. Sorry, not a droning guitar. Just this repeating guitar part that's just fading up, coming up, bit of EQ on there, clean cave preset, reverb mix. And there's another U here as well. And then there's this little guitar fill, which is lovely. I really love this part. And you can tell that sounds a bit unnatural because I've transposed it up an octave as well. So that just has this sort of unnatural sound to it, which I really enjoy. All the bits from before continue. There's also a riser somewhere. I don't know where it is. Let's whack the gain up on it. Oh, it's towards the end of the stem. That's kind of the first section. It kind of keeps itself quite simple, but then Hoffy changed up the rhythm a little bit here, which caught me a little bit off guard, and it doesn't kind of follow normal, like it's a slightly different time signature, I think, because you can see here that the distance between the snares gets a little bit interesting. Really, really love it. I'm no good at working with different time signatures, but I really love what he did with this. It just sounds really cool. So obviously the bass part switches out, the chords switch up here. I add in this little synth melody, which I think is lovely. It's a really, really subtle thing, but with headphones you can definitely hear it, and I love what it adds. Then we have this guitar part. So just EQ, really, really simple guitar part. I think this is the same part. It looks like a slightly different recording, but it's hard to tell. I think it's the same recording, but they're just layered up. It's not very often I do that kind of layering the same part in like the same octave, but there you go. There's another guitar part here. Really, really subtle. That's mostly going to the reverb mix, so I don't know if we'll hear that. Then we have another guitar part. And that just repeats. So altogether the guitars does sound like this. I feel like I probably could have left some of the lows in on some of those guitars a bit more and been a bit less aggressive. And that is that section. We have the chimes continuing here at some point as well. I don't know where they actually are. So we have this little bridge section here. So the snare has just been duplicated, telephone EQ'd and sent to the reverb mix to give us that nice echoey sound to it. The guitar grains come back again in reverse towards the end. So around here. What else have we got here? Piano arp comes back as well. It's very hard to kind of navigate this one because there's so much going on here. So we have some other guitar parts. So we have a bridge lead here, which is something I spent quite a while trying to get right because I wanted something in this bridge that felt a bit like less like a loop and more of like a one-off piece, which became this part here. Really love that slow slide. I'm just patting myself on the back here, I know. And then there's this little kind of repeating part as well, which I think then continues into the second kind of drop as such. We have the reverse chimes again up here, the reversed and forwarded U. They continue again. Trying to get through this. Then we have that part continues from the bridge, and we also have a lead part here as well. And that fill comes back again, but with a shimmered reverb. Then we move into the second section once again, but this time it's layered up with a second synth for the melody. And it's all shimmery and reverby, which I should have probably cleaned up with the reverb afterwards, but hey. And our ambient guitars from the intros come back as well. I actually added a little bit more of a break here to try and kind of choose where it ended, because the piano initially did this. Whereas I added a little break to it, so it sounds like this. So you just get that slight delay on it. I think it's just, it felt like the more natural place for the song to kind of end its beat, so I don't know. There probably is like a technical reason that I just don't understand, so yeah. There is also a synth pad that comes in here as well, which is done through Labs piano pads, which is again a free download. Really love how these sound. So yeah, just lovely stuff. I think that is everything for the track You. Bit of a messy one, but that'll teach me to not have messy projects, but I'm going to still have messy projects. But yeah, so that's track 4 on the album. You with Hoffy Beats. So yeah, thank you to Hoffy again for working with me on this, because it was such a, I think it's come out so great despite being such a messy project file. But yeah, so as always, if this was helpful in any way, leave a comment or a thumbs up, the stuff that helps with algorithms basically. And I will see you in the next video for track 5, which I think is One for Reflection. So I will see you then. Thanks for watching, and bye.